Hi, this is Whitney with the Yoga Art Space Studio, and today we've got an aerial yoga practice specifically working on the shoulders, especially getting our body weight against the hammock to help push the shoulders down away from the ears. Now, some of the poses we'll be doing are nice and gentle, nice and easy beginner. Some of them are a little bit more difficult, intermediate, even advanced poses. And so if you're having trouble with anything, or if you've never done one of these poses before, feel free to get a spot to help you out, or you can skip any of the pieces that you're not comfortable with right now. So be safe, be happy, and we'll come all the way back into our hammocks. Starting in a beautiful Shavasana pose, grab the end of the hammock. When you found the end of it, wave it left and right, making sure nothing's doubled over. Hook your thumbs on this front edge. Take about 5 or 6 handfuls, getting to about the center of the fabric. Back up under the plumb line, rise up to tippy toes, and then sliding the fabric under your glutes, you're able to sit down. From here, heading all the way down into a beautiful Shavasana position. Legs in, shoulders in, head in. As we're focusing on our shoulders, we tend to tense up the shoulders when we're trying to control too much. When we're trying to put the weight of the world on our shoulders and assume that us taking control leads to better outcomes. And maybe sometimes that's the case, but oftentimes there's very little we can actually do to cause anything to change, especially when it comes to other people. And so we put this weight of the world on our shoulders, and literally it changes nothing. And so today, as we're relaxing deeply into that shoulder area, as well as stretching other parts of the body in nice ways, just imagine that this is giving ourselves permission to not have to be the one to control everything. We're not the one that is necessarily causing change to happen. We're being here for the ride. We're doing what we can within our own sphere of influence, and then letting everything else go because there's nothing we can do anyway, so stressing about it doesn't actually help. Take a huge inhale and a good exhale. Begin to stretch the arms all the way back behind you toward the back of the head. With arms stretched out, start to wiggle the shoulders as far to the right as we can reach, and as far to the left as we can reach. Another good time to each direction. Finding these beautiful breaths. Once more right. Once more left. And then when we're back through the center, let's take a few leg stretches. Our right knee comes into the chest, our hands clasp around that knee, gently pulling it in. We begin to lengthen this right leg up to the sky for a good hamstring stretch. Hands tug inward, giving that leg a deep chance to open for us. Another inhale. And exhale, drop this leg all the way down. Second knee comes in. Give it a few ankle rolls. Leg begins to stretch up to the sky. Give it that nice tug for the hamstring stretch. Good. We drop this leg all the way down, reaching the arms up overhead. Take a good inhale. Exhale, roll up, one vertebrae at a time. Stretch over the toes. Taking 3 good breaths right there. Rising up to sit, hands grab onto the fabric. We slide our thumbs down, getting the fabric all the way to the back side of the waist. And starting to spill over backwards, you either keep the hands on and take the back bend as deep as is comfortable, or if you start to release the hands, this gives you an additional chance to stretch through the entire spine, helping to wake it up. Perhaps the arms stretch overhead, backs of the hands resting on the ground. And let the shoulders be loose, letting gravity help them drop down. Another good inhale. Exhale, start to gaze up toward the belly button. Reach one hand on and then the other. Gently use the arm strength to rise up, kicking the feet free off of the front. We take floating child pose. Hook the elbows, start to wiggle the shoulders forward. And this time we let the weight of the head drop forward, starting to relax through the head, neck, and shoulders. Slowly roll the right ear over the right shoulder. And roll it back down, chin to chest. Roll the left ear over left shoulder. And drop it back down. Letting right ear go back over right shoulder. And down. Left ear over left shoulder. And down. Gently sitting all the way back up. From here, we take a shoulder stretch, including eagle's arms. And so the arms come out in front of you. The right elbow winds under the left elbow. The hands completely wind around, so the palms are trying to touch. Once you've got your elbows wound around like this, right elbow under, begin to lift the elbows up, trying to get them in line with the shoulders, and then drop the shoulders down away from the ears, enjoying that really deep shoulder stretch. From here, lean back. Twist your elbows to cross past the right side of the fabric and then sit back up. This is facing you toward that right side. Your left shoulder should be quite a bit deeper into the stretch. Take a moment to release the right arm. The left arm stays hooked on the fabric. That nice deep shoulder stretch. Right hand grabs onto this right side and helps our shoulders turn forward. With the left straight arm still hooked, you get that additional chance to be there with the stretch. And then turning this into the spinal twist, leave the left arm once again. The right arm comes all the way around on the back side of the head to grab the fabric and helps to pull our spine into the rotation. As we release, we switch it off to the other side. So this time, left elbow will wind under right elbow for the eagle's arms. Lift elbows up in line with shoulders, drop shoulders down away from Leaning back, hook the elbows on the left side, sit back up. And once you've sat up, we continue to turn our body toward this left side, bringing the shoulders into the nice stretch to that direction. The right arm straightens out. The left hand grabs the fabric on this left side, helping to square our shoulders forward again. Good. Leave the right arm one more time. Left hand releases. It circles around the back side of the head, grabbing the fabric on that side, and then twist the spine, looking behind you. Beautiful. Unwind the arms, bring the hands behind your back, clasping the hands. Place the hands at the right hip, and then drop the right ear to the right shoulder. That should exaggerate the stretch on that left shoulder. As head floats back up, hands go over to the left hip. Drop the left ear over left shoulder. And then as we start to release from here, we're ready for a chance to go into a nice vampire pose. So bring the fabric up to your shoulders like a little cape. Remember to only have one thin layer so you don't get too much to press against the neck. The elbows help to grab all the excess down, pushing it down to the waist. And then we start to lean back, making sure that we've still got a good layer covering over our shoulders. That's our safety. If we don't have that fabric covering shoulders, we'll just fall off the back end of it. And so covering the shoulders nicely, start to step the feet in. We need to bring the excess fabric down to the feet. So lift the hips up and then straighten the legs, letting all that fabric scoot down toward your feet. From here, grab the hands onto this back end of the fabric. You want to make sure it's just a nice comfortable grip, arms nice and relaxed, straight and tall. Feet come upward, and then the feet push out into that fabric, that gathered part that's right above where the hands are. As the feet push out, you start to engage the core, lifting the hips all the way up. And here, give yourself some time just to enjoy being upside down, especially feel the shoulders and how they're affected by this position. Enjoy that wonderful chance for shoulders to be lengthened and even pushed away from the ears. Keep the breath going. Sometimes people just want to stay up and down. Sometimes people like to play here, trying to get both feet together, finding that balance. From here, sometimes some people will scissor one leg forward and one leg backward, finding the balance there. If you've got that up, see if you can return them upright with control, and switch it out to the other side. And returning up. Feet can stay hovering in the middle or return back to the fabric. It's a nice chance to relax for a few more breaths. Always know if you need to come down before me, that's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that, just lower the hips back down. If you're still doing okay, let's aim for a few more breaths, 5 to 10 more breaths. Eventually lowering all the way back down to a nice Shavasana pose. If your head is comfortable dropping off the back end, that's fine. Otherwise, grab onto the fabric, bringing your head back inside for a few nice breaths. We're taking a little bit of time to make sure that our blood pressure is returning back to a nice regulated spot. Eventually, when it feels good to come all the way to sitting, kick the feet free off the front. Hands grab onto the fabric. We start to rise all the way up. And sometimes it's nice to take that few extra breaths, hooking the elbows, lean forward again. Floating child pose, make sure everything still feels good and happy. When you're feeling ready to come out, we can either come out the normal way, just grab onto the fabric, lift the hips up to exit. Or if you want to try exiting the fun way, both hands grab onto each sides. You're making a nice tight fist. The important thing here is to grab on super tight and leave that grip in place. From here, straighten the legs out in front of you. Start to lean back. The legs pike up. And then once you're at this spot, we'll continue to allow the legs to flip all the way down until feet touch the ground. Rise up, letting the fabric be right directly behind you for a moment, arms behind the shoulders. Lift the spine up tall, and then start to lean backwards, giving us additional chance to stretch out the shoulders to this direction. Standing back up, we grip onto the fabric and slowly try to bring the straight arms around like a circle through their shoulder socket. Once you've got the fabric out in front of you, release. This helps us know where plumb line is. Grab back on, gripping as wide as shoulders. We're stepping right up to it so that our head is just a couple of inches behind plumb line. And from here, upper body goes forward, hips go back. Find that nice, flat, straight spine. Taking 3 rounds of cat-cow. Exhale, rounding the vertebrae up to the sky. Flatten back out. Inhale, drop belly down, gaze up. 2 more, nice and slow. Keep the breath slow and connected. Returning back to flat. Bring your arms to sway all the way to the right side, bending the right elbow down. This helps that left shoulder to stretch out super nicely. Straighten both arms, start to return back right in front of you, and then sway over to the left side, bending left elbow down. And return. Bend both knees, roll our way back up to stand. Plant your right foot under the body weight. As the left leg kicks back, the arms go forward, warrior 3. Slide the right hand down to the center of the fabric. As you start to stack the hips, bump the left arm up. So we're leaning into the fabric still, and we're in a nice half moon pose. 2 more breaths. Start to return that foot back down, but leave the arms as they are. What that should have done is you dropped the left shoulder down, is rotate that left shoulder in its socket. From there, as we continue to lean the right arm forward, we enjoy that nice deep stretch through the left shoulder. We gently rise up, unwinding that left shoulder. Grip back evenly, gripping as wide as the shoulders. Lean upper body forward and hips back. Once again, sway your body over toward the right side, bending the right elbow down. Straighten out through the center, sway over to left side, bending left elbow down. And return. Good. Second side, left foot is under our body weight. We kick the right leg back, lean forward, warrior 3. Transitioning into half moon pose. The left hand slides down to the center part of the fabric. That loop, right hand slides up as the hips stack. Leave the hands gripping exactly as they are. Start to return this foot down exactly next to the other, and that should have rotated the right shoulder in its socket, getting that nice stretch from behind. Bend the knees, roll up, unwind that shoulder. And once again, grabbing on, lean forward. Sway over to the right, bending right elbow down. Straightening the arms, sway over to the left, then bend the left elbow down. And returning forward, bend the knees, roll up to stand. And here's where we take one of the most challenging points of today. You may or may not be able to get up with the first try, and that's okay. Part of this is about building the core work to gradually increase the hops. The idea is that you take the fabric, take that bottom part of the loop around the back of the neck, leaving the 2 edges here to dangle down, kind of like a little scarf around the head. If you've got hair, make sure your hair is free off of the fabric. And then these little scarf parts that start to drop down That's where you dive your arms forward and through. So our shoulders are nice and supported, and the neck is where the fabric is. So from here, we begin to lean forward. Try to reach your hands to grab onto the fabric from behind. Once you've got that grip, walk backwards until it feels like your head is underneath plumb line. And then from here, you bend your knees, and like a spring, you explode upward to be upside down, supported with your neck inside the fabric. This is a very deep stretch. So remember, your exhale when you jump up is what helps you come upside down. Try a few hops, see if you can get it the first time today. Remember to breathe. This one can be very intense for that neck. So the moment that it's too much, that you're finding yourself unable to breathe smoothly, come on down. Sometimes it's very intense while you're upside down, but the moment you release out of it, suddenly it's so much, like it's just, you feel the weight of the world having just been pressed out of your shoulders, like an olive press. So if you're still doing okay, maybe 3, 4, 5 more breaths. When you're ready to come down, gently land your feet. Keep your knees bent for a moment if you feel like you have a rush of blood to the head. Eventually bending the knees, free out the head, bring the fabric right to the hips. We're going straight into downward facing dog. So walking forward, drop the hands down, walk the feet backward until hips are under plumb line. And from here, just enjoy this pose being right here. Perhaps bending the knees, you're letting the hips float. And sometimes in down dog, I see people try to keep their head arched back up behind. It's like they're trying to gaze forward. Instead, just let your head be heavy, just dropping it down. Beautiful chance for that neck to recover after the last pose. Getting this wonderful pressure, that massage into the psoas, maybe rocking left and right. Eventually dropping the toes down, bring the right hand in front of the face, left hand reaches up and grabs either strand of fabric. So if you're grabbing the closer one, it's a little bit easier for the twist. If you're grabbing the farther one, it makes you work a little bit more. So just choose the appropriate one and then wind the spine into that beautiful twist. Good, dropping this left hand down in front of your face, right hand goes up, you grab onto either strand, take that nice twist. And when this one drops down, start to walk the feet forward up to the top of the mat until feet can be flat. When feet are flat, bend the knees, hands go lightly onto the fabric. Roll your spine up to stand, and right away turn around, bringing the fabric under shoulder blades. We're taking a nice recovery pose, clasping the hands behind the head. We're just leaning backwards, stargazer pose. Oftentimes I like to bend one knee and just feel my body sway over to that side. When you straighten that leg back out, you return back through the center. Bending the other knee, sway to that direction, and return. Beautiful. I'm going to flip around so it's a little bit easier for you to see what I'm doing here. We're in that same stargazer pose, leaning back. And from here, The right arm crosses over, and that straight right arm hooks on the left part of the fabric. The left arm does the opposite, hooking over to the right side. You've got a figure X with your arms. Step backwards until you're standing up on your own 2 feet. And then as you begin to lean forward, this should start to pull each of your arms away from the direction of their socket. You don't want the fabric to slip past the shoulder blades. Rather, just enjoy the stretch right where you're at. Forward, pulling the shoulder blades away from one another. And standing back up, inhale, circle the arms. Exhale from here, clasp the hands behind the back, even walking the feet forward a few steps if you need to. And then try to pull the arms away from your back, away from your glutes, as far away behind you as you possibly can. Beautiful. Release, shake out the arms. Start to walk yourself backwards until you're standing up. Drag your arms forward to free yourselves out. And then from here, what I'd like us to do, turn around, face your fabric, grab that front end of the fabric and wave it out as if you're preparing to come inside. We're not going to head in quite yet, but we're already prepared with that waving shape of it. From here, grabbing onto this front edge of the fabric, bring both of your elbows inside. It's almost like a dragon pose in yin yoga. You bring your elbows up in line with the shoulders, and like a cactus arm, the hands go upright. And from here, you've got a few different ways to play with it until you feel a nice shoulder stretch. One thing you can do is just lean forward and feel both shoulders pulled back. My personal favorite thing to do is to take a lunge. So one foot steps forward, the other foot lunges backward. And then as I squat down, my arms get pulled backwards, or I can lean forward and that purposely pulls it even further back. So just kind of play with it until you feel a really good shoulder stretch happening in your body. Another good inhale. Exhale, take a break, step back, slide your elbows in and roll your head out just a little bit. Any angles that feel really good. Good, heading to the second side, or just a second round if you did the first option. Elbows slide up, step the left foot forward, right foot back. In this nice lunge, you choose what you need to do. Leaning forward, squatting down lower, anything that helps peel your elbows backwards to stretch the pectoralis muscles. Another breath in, and then exhale, step back. As we slide our hands down the fabric, we hook our thumbs, bring out the fingers on the outside, take your 5 grips of fabric, and then take a couple of bonus because we're heading to another version with vampire pose. So a couple of bonus, so we'll already have the fabric shifted down toward the feet. Start to step in, checking the fabric as you lean back, see if it's that perfect amount over the shoulders. If not, reset the amount that's on your shoulders. When the shoulders are perfect, step the feet in, lift the hips if you need to scoot fabric down, feet go all the way down. And this time, as we're beginning to head toward vampire pose, You leave the right foot inside the fabric, even pulling up the fabric to cover the right shin. Left foot is free. So from here, hands grip up on the back part of the fabric. The left foot comes back, the right foot comes back, even though it's inside the fabric, that's okay. Start to rise up just like the vampire we did earlier. And then the right foot, that closed foot, starts to pike down until you feel the toes pushing into the fabric. Once you feel that going on, it's safe to step the left foot all the way down to the mat. From this point, I like to hop the foot forward just another foot or so, and then deeply lean backwards. Both legs stretching away from one another, giving ourselves a deep chance to stretch out the hamstrings while getting this nice shoulder massage. Bring the weight of your torso over your leg, over under the plumb line. And then in one smooth motion, try to step this left foot directly into the pocket that the right toes are in. Bring the right foot down, step it to the earth, maybe a little hop forward before you take that split stretch backwards. Try to relax through the shoulders rather than trying to hike your shoulders up and use the strength there. Rather let this be a deep relaxing place, asking gravity how much it can take over. Another good inhale. And exhale, step both feet into the little pocket. From here, take a few moments to hold in this plank, a nice strengthening pose. When you need to come up, but try to pike the hips just a little bit past the shoulders. And then both legs together, try to float all the way up, coming into control with a vampire. We'll stay here a few extra breaths. If you're ready to come down, you had enough inverting today, you absolutely can do so. You're welcome to stay a little bit longer, or if you're ready for a nice Shavasana pose, begin to come with your hips all the way down, sitting up, shift some of the fabric toward your head. Make sure that your head, neck, shoulders are comfortable. Find the arm position that feels the very best, maybe bringing the elbows by the ears and dangling the forearms off the back. Whatever feels nice and comfortable, just to breathe and relax. Part of finding that relaxation through the shoulders is finding these moments just like right here, right now. A moment where we can breathe and slow everything down. That tells our body you don't have to be tense 24/7. We'll gradually begin to awaken our body, preparing to come back up toward a seated position. The first thing we can do is just nice and gently stretch the arms to that back wall, letting shoulders go right, letting shoulders go left. Maybe one more time each side. If you'd like to take a fetal position, start to roll over onto one side, stacking one hip on top of the other hip. And from here, 2 or 3 times, curl in like a tight little ball, and then arc the spine as far backwards as it's willing to go. Exhale. Inhale. And maybe one more time. Good. Returning back evenly through the center before you switch over to the second side. 2 or 3 cycles to that side as well. Exhale, curl in. Inhale, arc the spine back. Almost like an exaggerated cat-cow. When we return back onto our spine, we're ready to work our way up toward a seated position. Feet kick free off the front. Hands grab on, helping us sit all the way up tall. Our body feels much more loose. Our shoulders feel much more prepared to travel forward into the rest of this day. And so we wrap up this time that we shared, the shoulder opening time that we got to share together today. Joining our hands together in front of the heart, wrapping up with the sound of Om. Inhale together now. Om. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.